Welcome to ObscuraTime, where forgotten stories rise from the shadows of history. Today, we journey into the heart of the Benin Kingdom, a place of splendor, artistry, and spiritual depth. A place whose treasures were so breathtaking that when Europeans first saw them, they could hardly believe they were African. But this is not just a story about beauty. It is a story of violence, of theft, and of a mother whose face still stares at us across centuries. Her name was Idia, Queen Mother of Benin. In the early 16th century, Benin was one of the most powerful kingdoms in West Africa. Its capital was filled with palaces, courtyards, and markets alive with trade. But behind the power of Oba Esigi, the king of Benin, stood his mother, Idia. Idia was no ordinary woman. She was a strategist, a political advisor, and a warrior queen. When enemies threatened the kingdom, she guided her son with wisdom and courage. When rival chiefs tried to undermine the throne, she stood unshaken, using her influence and intellect to protect Benin's dynasty. So beloved was she that after her passing, the artist of Benin immortalized her image in ivory masks, smooth, gleaming, carved with the patience of 1,000 strokes. These masks were not meant to be mere decorations. They were sacred. They were worn by kings in ceremonies to honor his spirit, reminders that behind every Oba stood the power of his mother. One of these masks, perhaps the most famous, shows Idia's calm, commanding face. Her eyes, elongated and watchful, gaze into eternity. Her lips, firm but gentle, reveal both strength and serenity. Around her crown, tiny carved Portuguese figures march across the ivory, symbolizing Benin's early contact with Europe, when trade was still based on respect, not conquest. The mask is more than an artwork. It is history captured in ivory. It is the face of Africa's resilience, leadership, and artistry. But in 1897, that story was violently interrupted. When British forces invaded Benin during the so-called punitive expedition, they did not just burn the city to the ground. They stormed the royal palace, ripping treasures from shrines, altars, and sacred chambers. Bronzes, plaques, coral regalia, carved tusks. And yes, the ivory masks of Queen Idia. What had once been an object of reverence became a trophy of war. The mask was taken to London, where it was auctioned off to the highest bidder. Soon, it was displayed in glass cases in European museums, labeled as primitive art, stripped of its true meaning. To the British, it was exotic. To the world, it was beautiful. But to Benin, it was lost. For over a century, Nigeria has demanded the return of Idia's mask. Each time, the answer has been the same: refusal. Instead, the mask has traveled the world as a masterpiece of African art, never as the sacred heirloom it truly is. In 1977, Nigeria hosted FESTAC, the Festival of Arts and Culture, where the mask of Idia was chosen as the official emblem. It became a symbol of African unity, resilience, and identity. But the original mask remained in foreign hands. Think about this for a moment. A face carved by African hands. A mask that embodied the wisdom of a mother, the strength of a kingdom, the soul of a people, is still sitting thousands of miles away, locked in a museum behind glass. These masks were never meant to be silent objects. They were meant to live, to breathe, to inspire. They were meant to connect generations of Benin's people to their ancestors. And yet, today, Nigerians must travel abroad to look into the face of their own Queen Mother. This is the tragedy of looted heritage. When an artifact is stolen, it is not just the object that is lost. It is memory. It is meaning. It is the invisible thread that ties the present to the past. And so, The face of Idia, Queen Mother of Benin, stares at us across oceans and centuries, not only as a masterpiece of ivory, but as a reminder of what was taken and what still waits to be returned. This has been Obscura Time, where forgotten stories rise again. If you